Hi everybody! I am so happy to be here doing this video to help with procrastination. I do apologize, I know it's been a bit of a wait since my last video, and I did want to explain just before we got started why it's been a bit of a wait and why my videos kind of come in little fits and bursts. I don't normally talk about this, but it is May, which is Lyme Awareness Month. And so the reason why my videos are often few and far between is because I do have chronic Lyme disease, and often I'm sick. It just is completely unreliable which days, weeks, and months I'll be doing a bit better and when I will have a flare and be worse. So that's kind of what's going on. And I know a lot of my new followers, whom I love, thank you for joining me, are people who enjoy my ASMR videos, or at least the first one that I've done so far, and there is definitely going to be more. In fact, after this procrastination series, then I will do another ASMR. It is just that they do take a bit more effort, more editing, more production, and though these videos might look easy to you guys, they actually do take a lot of work, even just the regular ones that I do. So when I'm sicker, all videos are hard, but the ASMR ones are a little bit harder. So that's just why I will continue to switch back and forth with my regular hypnotic videos and then my ASMR hypnosis videos. So the reason why I picked procrastination for this topic was working with my clients and everything. I have found that the number one thing that almost every single client I have seen, well actually every single client I've seen, has had in common has been an issue with procrastination. And it's actually not as big of a problem to deal with and overcome once we understand a few things about it. And my cat has just joined me. Here, I'll pick him. This is Ryu. It means dragon in Japanese. So if you see his head pop up and down, I'm just trying to make sure they don't make too much noise while I'm doing this video because I don't want to do like 1,000 takes. But anyway, moving on. So that was one of the main reasons I wanted to do this video, was just I thought I could think of no other topic that was as relatable for everybody. The other reason was I feel it's something I'm personally an expert in. So I am an expert in that I help people with it, but I mean, I used to call myself a professional procrastinator, and I said if there were ever a job where procrastinating was like the main kind of guideline, then I would be like the top worker. And I've always had it just come a bit natural to me to be a procrastinator, which I think for most creative types is just par for the course. But because of my illness, for the first 3 years when I really got very sick with the Lyme, I was bedridden. And I don't tell you this for you to pity me. I just tell you this because I had to work extra hard to overcome some bad habits that I developed at that time. And so I really have a lot to share on that topic. And if it can work for Spoonie, someone who spent 3 years in bed, I think it can work for everyone. So I'm going to start with, or I'm going to give you 4 tips. And I do have many more that I offer my clients, but I don't want this video to go on forever. So I'm going to give you guys my 4 best tips. And if you saw me just reach over, it is because I have what I call Lyme brain, which Lyme disease affects every single person differently. If you've met one person with Lyme, you've met one person with Lyme. And some people have what's called neuro-Lyme, which is what I have, which is that it's in their brain. And even though I sound pretty together, I know every once in a while I'll kind of skip a word, or my tenses, like past and present tense, will kind of switch around in a sentence. I don't know if you've ever noticed that, but it does happen. I've noticed when I watch my videos back. But other than that, I think no one would be able to tell that I technically have a brain injury from the damage that has been done by the Lyme. So while I can like string together sentences, usually, and come off fairly intelligent, I hope, my short-term and long-term memory are both significantly affected. So to help me with this, I have my handy dandy notebook. Okay, so my first tip that I want to share with you, and some of these tips are so easy and so doable. In fact, I'm going to help you do them right now. And the first two just have to do with changing your mindset. So it's as simple as that. I'm going to talk to you and explain these first two tips, and then that's literally half the battle. Okay, so tip number 1. Know that procrastination is totally normal. Not just in what I explained earlier, that everybody suffers from it, but when I used to procrastinate, oftentimes the things I procrastinated about were things that were the most important to me, and it always confused the hell out of me. And then I read this book that helped me understand. It is called The War of Art. And you might kind of recognize the title because it's based off of the old book called The Art of War. It has a real lot of wisdom about understanding procrastination and what they talk about, or he talks about, as resistance. And this just was powerful for me. And basically, I'll just share with you a tiny bit about what was really helpful. Was that this author, who is Steven Pressfield, spoke in the very beginning of the book and then throughout about how resistance is natural to every single human. And resistance is just another word for procrastination. And basically that resistance that is natural within us always presents towards what is most important to us. So just let that sink in, because that was really like a big aha moment for me, where I was like, oh, I thought it was just me. Like, I know everybody procrastinates a little bit, but I thought that I was weird or broken because I was procrastinating with the things I cared most about. So reading this and seeing that like everybody's like that it's part of the human nature based in fear, and that it's just inherent to us. We can never get rid of that resistance, but we can set into practice things to make sure that it doesn't overcome us. On to tip number 2. Flip the script. What does flip the script mean? Basically, flip the script means just changing how you think of procrastination in general. So not only changing your understanding of it's not just you and it's not like some flaw in yourself that you have this resistance, but also understanding that procrastination doesn't have to be a bad thing. And actually, up until about the Victorian era, when things got so like tight, it was never considered a bad thing. In fact, back in the day, if you look at the Roman Empire and the Grecian and the Egyptians and everything, procrastination was actually considered something of a very high value. And the people who were considered like the thinkers of the day were expected to procrastinate. Studies show that when it comes to people who are leaders in today's society, a lot of them deal with procrastination, and oftentimes you end up with a better product for it. So people who are very good at never procrastinating, oftentimes if they're given an assignment or something, they just go straight into it. Whereas someone who procrastinates, they often do a lot of other things and the ideas are just ruminating in the background. And so this often ends up with a better product in the end, because maybe what would come out of your mind the very first thought, the very first second that you delve into something, is not the best idea. So just flipping the script, this doesn't mean that we want to just continue procrastinating as we were, because we need the right kind of procrastination. So going back again to the example of the Romans and the Grecians, when they were out doing their procrastination, they weren't obviously on their iPhones, on Twitter, anything like that. A, because those didn't exist, but B, because that's not the type of procrastination that's going to get your mind juices flowing. So what they would do, which is still highly recommended nowadays, is spending time in nature, spending time with art, spending time with movement. Just so that's what I would like you to think about for your second tip, is don't condemn procrastination totally. Know that it can be a good thing. Just seek to control the amount in which you do it and the way in which you do it. On to tip number 3. Change how you start the day. This might be the most important of these 4 tips that I am giving you. How you start your day is extremely important. So, for example, for myself, what I often do when I start the day, or used to do and try not to do anymore, is start it with TV. That is an energy drain. When you're just doing this mindless thing, it's not giving you energy, it's just letting your energy melt away. So if you don't have to leave the house immediately after and do a bunch of things, you're just likely to do another show and another show. And it might be like, oh, you're feeling good, you're feeling fine. And then the second show, you're great, you can do one more. And then the third show, your energy is draining, you're maybe getting a little depressed. And then it's really hard to overcome the procrastination and the bad mood after you've gotten the ball rolling. And of course, if it's later in the day and you're tired, you've done a lot, you want to come home, you want to watch TV, or you want to go on Twitter, that's fine if you've already done a few things that you can be proud of for the day. But I just would recommend finding a different way to start it. For me, I like to start it with either music or a TED Talk or another podcast. These are still ways where you can kind of slowly wake into the day, but feed your creation, feed your kind of brain, basically, and get more motivated instead of less. So think about things like that. If you really want the TV on, then a TED Talk is great because it's still playing, but what is being soaked into your mind is things that are inspiring and motivating. So you're able to turn it off when you're ready and do. I also obviously always recommend music. Music is an amazing way to break a mood and gain energy. So if you're getting ready, just put on something that's really energizing for you, and that is half the battle. The last one is podcasts. And if you are trying to do a certain thing, picking a podcast in that genre will really help. For example, as a writer, listening to a writing podcast in the morning automatically motivates me a bunch to start writing. Okay, so the last and final tip is something I just hinted on in the previous thing, which is movement. Movement, movement, movement. Movement is important. And with all of these, you can tailor it for yourself. If the way I'm saying it doesn't exactly work for you, use your creative mind and figure it out. So for some people, they might start the day with a jog, and that's amazing. Or maybe they'll hit the gym for 2 hours, and that's a good thing. But if you're someone who doesn't have the time for that, or if you can't do a 2-hour workout because that will drain you, space it throughout the day, especially if you have a lot of time on your hands and you know you're prone to like getting depressed and procrastinating. Just kind of planning throughout the day. Okay, in the morning, I'm going to go for a 10 to 20 minute walk or jog, especially if it's beautiful out. That's going to be so motivating for you. And then saying, okay, I know after I come home and have lunch, I tend to get a little tired, or I tend to watch TV, and then the procrastination kicks in, knowing, okay, then after my lunch, I'm going to put on music and then clean up for 15 minutes, and that'll give you like more energy. Especially, that's another cheat, is starting the music beforehand, because sometimes you're really tired and you're just not in the mood. But if you put on that energizing music for like 5 minutes, then all of a sudden you're like, okay, I do feel like doing the dishes and dancing around the house. And then maybe again, like add in some more movement in 2 or 3 hours after that, maybe doing 10 to 20 minutes of yoga, so that you're spaced throughout the day. You're not doing these big bulk workouts that are just going to tire you out or you don't have time for, but you're planning it strategically throughout your day in small little bite-sized chunks that are very doable for you, that will keep you doing and motivated. And then finding throughout your day also ways to throw in that little bit of procrastination in healthy, inspiring ways that are going to allow you to rest and enjoy, but also keep on top of your shit. Because that's what we all want, is to like enjoy life, but keep on top of our shit. So those are my 4 tips for you. Understanding that you are not alone, you're not weird, that procrastination, especially when it comes to the important things, is part of the human experience and part of resistance. Number 2, understanding that procrastination is not actually bad, that it allows for ideas to marinate and get better, but coming up with a strategy to do procrastination in the right way and not allowing it to go to excess. But again, if we do once in a while just kind of binge a TV show, not to guilt ourselves about it, because that is a big thing that just spirals and leads to more procrastination, is when we give ourselves such a hard time about it. We're all human. We're not perfect. That's okay. Then number 3, change the way you start your day. Start your day with something that is entertaining and inspiring. And then 4, move. Make sure you move, even if it's just the teensy-weensiest little way. Okay, guys, I really hope that some of these tips hit home for you and will help you. And be sure to check out the hypnosis video to help you with procrastination, because you can know all the tips and that's great, but sometimes getting started is a little hard, and that's where the hypnosis comes in to just give you that jump start and make it easy peasy. So definitely check out that video and subscribe below for more videos coming to you like this on how-tos and hypnosis videos and relaxing ASMR sessions. So subscribe. All right, guys, thank you so much for checking it out, and I will see you next time.